Hi guys, today I will be doing a nice fun summery watercolor painting on these watercolor postcards by Etchr Lab. They are cold pressed, they are 25% cotton and 300 GSM. So let's test it out and see how these are. But really quickly before we test it out, here's what they look like. They come in this really cute tin box and they are rounded edges, and I believe the size is A6, which is 10.5 by 15 centimeters or 5.8 by 4.1 inches. So this is what we are going to be painting on today. And you can see the texture for it. And yeah, let's try it out. So I've got all my supplies handy and ready. I've got some water over here in a cup for this exercise and testing of this paper. We're going to be using Princeton number 6 and round miniature number 1. I've got a palette handy on the side here, and then I'm using my tried and true set of 36 white knights, and I'll let you know what colors we're using to give you an idea of what we are painting today. This is something that I had mentioned on one of my Instagram lives that I said we would be doing, and this is what we're going to be doing really quickly. This is a cute little cupcake, and we've got a couple of daisies on the side. So loose, easy, beginner friendly, super fun, super summery, and super cute. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start mixing off my colors. And I think because this cupcake is kind of, we've got that nice cherry stem to it, so I'm going to make it vertical. And that's how we're going to be painting it. The first color I'm going to be mixing out is going to be my carmine. Feel free to, I guess, swap it for if you like blue, or if you like purple, or if you like green. I'm going to be using carmine because pink's my favorite. So I've gone ahead and mixed a little bit of carmine over here. It's super watery, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is actually introduce another brush just to get our areas damp first, and then we can go in and add some color because we want that nice soft look to make that mound of cream look nice and fluffy. So just as a base drawing, I'm going to do a very light sketch so you guys can see how that's supposed to look. So I want the sketch to be kind of like that. So a little bit of a curve, and then we've got that first mound, and then here's where it sort of ends, and then here's the second one, and then we kind of go around like this, and then here's where the bottom portion or the cake portion of it goes. Very loose. Probably should have moved this down a bit so that we had more room for the cherry, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with that, just keeping the cherry here. And then obviously need to slightly get rid of that line. Oops, terrible eraser. I will make sure to paint over that properly. And then we've got our little cherry stem kind of maybe going this way. All right, so that's just the basics to give you an idea of where things are going. I think instead of having the flowers at the top, I think I'll do a couple at the top and then a couple at the bottom as well. All right. So using my number 8, I'm going to go ahead and dampen this first layer just so I can get some nice color with using the number 6 in there. Okay, so here we go. Dampening this first area. Actually, you know what? We're going to dampen the whole area. Got to make sure that there's no pooling of water happening as you dampen this area. This is 25% cotton paper, so then we need to make sure that it doesn't dry up quickly. Now the first area I'm adding this color is going to be, I'm going to make sure I get some color first. First area we're adding color is going to be in between. So using the tip of my brush, swoosh, and then at the bottom here, and then we want a little bit at the top. And you can see that area has sort of dried up a little bit. So we're going to take the number 8 and just help it along by dampening that area. Also helping this area along so we get a little bit of a blend going on with our nice fluffiness. Pushing this color down here. And now what we're going to do is get a little bit of the pink to kind of emphasize certain areas. Now's the time to go and do that. So I'm going to get some color directly from my carmine cake. And then I want to go in here while it is sort of semi-drying up and add another sort of stroke just to darken that. And then I'm going to add a little bit more right here. This is where the cherry is going to be sitting. And then I want to add a little bit over here as well. And then just like we did, oh, okay, let me just add a little bit here. Just like we did with that first section, I'm just going to go in and help smoothen things out. So we get a nice, beautiful blend. White areas are welcome, but we don't want everything to be super white. This is going to be a nice pink frosting. Okay, so that's nice. I like how it's sort of transitioned quite well there. So we're going to allow this to dry. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and do the cake portion of this. And for the cake portion, we're going to use the same technique of dampening the area first with our number 8 and then going in with the number 6. And for this, we will use burnt umber. So I'm going to mix a little bit of that on the side right here. Oh, should have mixed it with the number 6. So that's good enough. And I'm going to get the number 8 and start dampening. And I'm going to leave a thin sliver of white space between the icing and the cake portion. And dampening this whole area. Now that I have that, I'm going to go in and do our first swoop. And then all the way this way. Beautiful blend. And I really like how it's sort of really absorbing into the sheet quite nicely. And I'm pushing all the color down to this section here. So we have that shadowy effect. Now I'm going to go in and get more color, more of the brown on my brush, and I'm going to lightly add dabs of it just under and along the edge here. And this acts as the shadow. I'm going to get some more. And just really go at it over there so I get a nice dark area. Same thing here. The more you dab, the darker it gets, obviously. So we got a nice transition there. And then as this is drying, I'm just going to lightly kind of add light strokes around here so we can get some sort of texture happening. And before this dries up, and it's still quite nice and damp, which I really love, I'm going to get a second brown. So let's get some burnt sienna involved. And I'm lightly gonna just dab that in, and it'll give us some nice texture again with what this cake portion of the cupcake looks like. I love cake. Cake is my favorite. Especially cupcakes, they're super cute. Okay, so that's great. I love the texture. Again, I'm gonna do one last thing because it's still nice and damp. I'm gonna go ahead, get some more of that burnt umber, and I'm going to intensify the area just a bit. Shadowy areas where we need it to be shadowy. Perfect. I'm not going to do anything else, but I will wash off the brush, and taking my number 8, I'll do one last thing. With just water on it, I'm going to lightly touch the edge here and try and get a little bit of a shadow bleed happening. Perfect. We get a little color and just sort of add and then just getting a little bit of that burnt sienna just to sort of visually increase the visual interest, and just lightly dabbing it in. And I really like how this paper is kind of absorbing the color and just blending with little effort. I mean, this is some really nice paper, even though it is it's 25%, but it's working. It's doing the job quite nicely. Just smoothing out some of these areas. Perfect. That's that. We allow this to dry, and then we get right back to finishing with the cherry on top. So for the cherry, I am going to be using my ruby with a little bit of Madder Lake red. So I've just got some color directly on my number 6. I'm going to go ahead and add one stroke this way. And then I'm leaving a little bit open for the top area of where the stem comes onto the cherry. Then doing another stroke this way. I want to leave a little bit of white space in the cherry, so I'm going to leave that open like that. I'm going to take my smaller miniature brush and then just really quickly blend this in. And maybe even swipe out just a little bit of color to give it that nice, what's the word I'm looking for? Gradient appeal. So I'm going to swipe off a little bit more because it was nice and dark. I don't want it to be too solid across. Perfect. Now I'm going to get some of that Madder Lake red. And I just want to quickly add it while it is damp. Firstly, in this area here, coming downward. And then a little bit to the back here. And then mostly at the bottom, really. Perfect. And now we can go ahead, actually allow this to dry just a little bit before we go on and add our stem to it. So I think in the meantime, we can just add some of those daisies that I was talking about. I do feel like there's a little bit of a slant here, so I just want to perfect it because that's the I guess perfectionist in me. Just want to add, kind of make it seem a little more even. Much better. Okay, so now we can quickly, actually before we do the daisies, let's add some of that shading onto our icing as well. So I'm going in and getting some of my carmine, and I'm going to add a couple of strokes to kind of really outline the shadow here, and just really enhancing and kind of closing in on the details around our icing. I'm going to add some over here too. And I want to smoothen out as we go along so that it is nice and smooth and we're getting a nice pretty sort of effect. Same thing over here. If you mix in a little bit of a purple, if you want to get a nice darker shadowy feel to this, that would also be quite pretty. Just taking this brush and lightly helping it sort of blend. Oh, got some of that brown in there. It's okay. And then just taking more of the carmine and just adding it to the bottom here. All right, great. So now we are going to do the little daisies. For the daisies, I'm going to use my small miniature brush. I'm going to get a little bit of either the gray or the black, mix it there. And we're using a very small, like 80 to 20%, maybe even 10 to 1090 mixture, and we're going to go ahead and create these tiny little strokes all around, leaving white space in between so we can go in with some yellow. And I'll do some over here at the bottom. So this is too much, so I need to like really water it down some more. So I'm just kind of taking it off and dabbing it on my sheet of paper towel. So I'm going to go like this all around. Taking water and just kind of swiping some color off. If you feel like it's too gray, that's one technique to sort of take color off your painting. I'm going to go ahead, get some more color and add a couple more of these guys around here. On a smaller scale over there. I'm going to add one more. Probably do it over here. There we go. And then I'm going to add some at the top here too. Just maybe just like one peeking out. Okay, I lied. There's two at the top. And then I want to add a little bit of what I like to call fluffing. So I'm just going to add a couple of dots. Kind of really trying to make it almost like a splatter, but on a very light scale. All right, so now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and get my cadmium medium lemon. And using the same brush, we're going to go ahead and add some little dabs of color into the center of our little guys. And I'm leaving a lot of breathing room, so lots of white space. Not lots of white space, so some white space. We're not painting this into a circle. And I'll show you next exactly why we're leaving white space. Awesome. So we've got that. And now we want to go ahead and add, let this dry actually. We're going to add a darker, like a burnt umber to it, just so it gives us a little bit of a shadow into our centers. So while this is drying up, we're going to go and do the stem area for our cherry. And for that, I'm going to use the color green. And again, I'm using my miniature brush. And we're going to go ahead and start this baby from the center here. And just kind of twirl it. A little bit of brush control required here, so you can get that nice thin line, but that's why I love the miniature brush, because it gives me those nice thin details. And I think this still needs to be dried up a bit more, but I think the top ones seem like they could take a little bit of brown. So I'm going to get a little bit of brown, making sure I don't have any excess brown on it. And I'm just going to add a couple of dots into this area here. And I just want to add it like below or around the yellow, just so it gives me a little bit of a bump or a blend in color with that yellow. This one seems to have dried up. That's why it looks a little bit darker there. So what I'm doing is taking my brush, kind of taking off some color so it doesn't dry off too much. And that's what it looks like here. So we're almost done. I'm just going to add a little bit of shadowy areas around here. I'm using a little bit of purple in my carmine, and I'm just adding like a very vague sort of shape to kind of envelop the bottom of the cherry right there. And then I'm going to do a little bit happening right here. And then just taking this brush and just sweeping the color over so we get a nice blend. And then finally, just a little bit happening here. Okay, and then last but not least, what we want to do is add some more of the brown just to highlight more of the bottom so it pops out some more. So here we go. And I'm just giving it a little bit more of that texture. in the cake here, because the more you layer, the darker it becomes. And so there we go. And that is it. You can leave this as is, but because it's a cute little postcard, which I'm really digging, I figured you can even do a little bit of lettering. And for that, you can either use your, I would suggest either using like your metallic watercolors if you have any, or I'm going to introduce the Posca markers, which are glitter. And these are fantastic if you want to kind of outline or do any sort of calligraphy or any kind of graphic elements. This is what I got from my haul at with Stationery Pal. And I love how these work. So I'm going to give this a little bit of outline in detail. And I'm just going all around. Doesn't have to be perfectly over it. It can be a little bit thicker if you want to kind of really give it that nice graphic element. And so it's got that cute little element to it, right? Which is very pretty. And here's what we're finally going to do. I'm going to add a couple of tiny little dots in and around these guys here to fill it up and give it some nice break in elements that we've got happening. I'm going to add some over here at the top as well. Very, very cute. In between the flowers, as I mentioned. I'm trying to have different variations of the dot sizes. Maybe just a little bit there, more around. Some by the cherry. And we can leave this as is. So that's what that looks like. And then one last thing I want to add with these beautiful markers is adding some sort of text. And for that, I'm going to use the, I think I'm going to use the orange right here. So I'm going to write something right across over here so I can get the edge to kind of twirl around my my cherry twig stem. Yeah. And I'm going to write cutie. So see? Trying to figure out what kind of T I can write. T. Just like that. And I'm going to thicken it up because these are the thinner, they're the thinner, I was going to say stem. They're the thinner nibs. And so I'd like this to have a little bit of thick and thins. So we're going to do that really quickly. All right, so this is what the end result looks like. And we've got Cutie up there. We've got some cute little glitter elements to kind of hide our imperfections. And we've got a cute little postcard. And I have got a ready to be mailed out card that I can send to a friend. Also keep in mind how you do these, because obviously now I think I've done mine backwards. I mean, it's fine. It's cute. It'll work. And yeah, that's it. So I'm liking these, and I kind of layered on this paper quite a bit, and as you can see, it's holding up pretty well. Not too much bend, right? 300 GSM, which I think is great. And then it's also given me some beautiful bleeds. And yeah, so check it out. Check out the paper, especially if you are someone who likes to do handmade cards for friends that can also transition into like nice little framings or wall hangings, because I think this one totally can. And got a personal message and everything. All right, thanks guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Tag me in your work so I can see how yours turned out. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing, as it really does help my channel grow. And as per usual, thanks so much for watching, and we'll chat soon. Bye.